What's up, family? Man, I want to have a heart-to-heart with you guys today. Man, so often in life, if we're not careful, we'll sit back and we'll look at where other people are at. And we'll compare ourselves to them. We'll look at other people and we'll sit back and say, dang, they got a beautiful house, and dang, they got a beautiful ride, and man, look at how they dress. Man, look at the money they got coming in, and look at what they're able to do, and whoop, whoop, whoop. Man, they're able to buy this and buy that. They're going on vacations and they're doing whoop, 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 and da-da-da-da. And man, I ain't got that. And we'll start to tear ourselves down because we're not in the place where they're at financially. We're not in a place where they're at, where we think they're at when it comes to their career or our career. A lot of times we'll sit back and we'll look at other people and we'll sit there and say, dang, they're so smart and they're so da-da-da, and look at how strong they are, look how big they are, da-da-da-da, and we'll compare ourselves to them physically. We'll compare ourselves to them intellectually. And the trip is, we don't know what they've gone through to get there. We just know that we're not there yet. And for whatever reason, we tear ourselves down because we're not there yet. But we don't know what they've gone through to get there. Some God had to show me. Because as a young man growing up, I was always comparing myself to other people. I was always looking at where other people were at. And I was always looking at my life. And it's like, fuck, man, I'm so far behind the curve. Man, why am I so much further behind everybody else? Everybody else is da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it's like God had to remind me and show, Elijah, what the fuck are you talking about? Elijah, you're comparing yourself to people that didn't live like you. You're comparing yourself to people that ain't going through what you've gone through. Stay with me, I'm going somewhere, I promise you. Elijah, you sitting there and you mad and you tripping because this person's got da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Elijah, when they were in school studying in their 20s, when they had a good relationship and they built this with their wife and da-da-da in their early 20s, Elijah, you was a single parent of 2. Elijah, you didn't have any financial help raising your 2 kids. You did that all by yourself. They ain't never been there. They've never been a single parent of 2. They've never been a single parent. And you comparing yourself to people that are happily married and been married for 15 and 20 years. That's not your experience, Elijah. Your experiences aren't their experiences. And you're mad and frustrated because you're comparing where you're at your age, comparing to where they're at their age, and you guys are the same age, but your experiences are different. You had struggles that they can't relate to. Elijah, you don't know what they've gone through as a kid that prepared them to be where they're at right now. Elijah, you're sitting in your 20s and 30s, you were still dealing with your childhood trauma. Stuff that these people never had to deal with. You have to deal with shit that most people have never gone through. So they've never had those setbacks. So you guys didn't start out at the same starting place in life, emotionally, intellectually. Elijah, this person grew up. Their mama's in their life still. Their daddy's in their life still. You've never had that experience, Elijah. It's as though you grew up and everybody else was able to go and we held you back. It's as though life intentionally held you back and gave everybody else a head start. And then when life finally let you go, you had a backpack on that you didn't even realize. And you know what was in your backpack, Elijah? You had the weight of the world in your backpack. These people were allowed to run and just experience life up under the loving and nurturing atmosphere of a loving and nurturing parents. That's not your experience in life, Elijah. And so obviously, as kids, these kids just blew through life. Boom, man, they just raced through school and just boom, boom, boom. In their early 20s, man, they just blew through that. Because the foundation was solid of love and nurturing parents who provided an identity for them to build upon. For you, Elijah, and so many other chosen ones, that was not your experience. Your experience was totally different from that. When they were able to express love and their opinions and their feelings, you couldn't do that shit. And so you're comparing yourself to these people, not even understanding the head start that they got. Not even understanding the weight of the world that you are going through school in your early teens and 20s and 30s carrying. Elijah, as a 2-year-old kid, look at what you witnessed. Look at what you experienced. Seeing your father murder your mama. Your father rejecting you from the gate. Been sexually molested by 2 guys claiming to be Christians. Beat down by your uncles and your aunties as a kid. You've gone through a lot of traumatic shit and you carried that fucking weight in your backpack as you tried to navigate through life. So while all these other people grew up feeling loved and nurtured and all this other stuff, while they were able to express and focus on all this other stuff, you're just trying to navigate. You're just surviving. You're not even trying to live. You can't even you can't even think about living. You're in survival mode. And you're comparing yourself to other people who've never had to be in survival mode like that as kids. They're falling in love, being in intimate, loving relationships. They're building a legacy. They're building a beautiful relationship for their kids because of this establishment that they came from, because of the parents that they had, because of the advantages in life that they had. And you're comparing yourself to them. And it wasn't your fault that your father didn't want you. It wasn't your fault that your father rejected you. It wasn't your fault that your father was abusive and violent. It wasn't your fault that your father murdered your mom right in front of you as a baby. It wasn't your fault that you were sexually molested as a 6-year-old kid twice. It wasn't your fault that as a little kid you were beat down by your aunties and uncles. That wasn't your fault, but that fucked up your self-esteem. That fucked up your identity. So while you carrying all this bullshit, these other people are light as feathers, just running, being all that they're capable of being, enjoying life to its fullest. You don't know how to enjoy life. You didn't know how to enjoy life. So you didn't know how to enjoy life. You know what I mean? So you didn't enjoy life because you didn't know how to enjoy life, Elijah. You were in survival mode. And so you're comparing yourself to people who's never gone through what you've gone through. And as long as you compare yourself to other people like that, you're always going to feel less than. You're always going to feel like you're way behind. I'm going somewhere. Elijah, you've got to stop comparing yourself, comparing your life to the life of other people. Elijah, you look at their life and you say they're a success. And then you look at your life and you think and say that you're an epic failure. How can you be a failure having gone through all the hell that you did? Having grown through all the hell that you did. You didn't have people loving on you, nurturing you, and mentoring you like that. You had to get it out the mud. You had to do the hard work all by yourself. You didn't have social media back then. You didn't have the World Wide Web and all that other stuff that makes life so much easier for people now. You had to get it out the mud. You had to do it the hard way. And look at you. When people look at you, people don't realize what you've gone through. People don't know all the hell that you've experienced. They can't see that on you. They can't see that in your energy. Because of all the work that you put in to change and to heal and to raise your frequency. Some people have gone through a lot of things in life, a lot of negative, destructive things, toxic things. And they haven't put in the work to heal that stuff. And so they're still on that low vibration. And so when you look at them, it's like, oh shit, I don't know what you've gone through, but I know you've gone through some shit. You didn't just get here in life without having gone through some shit. We can look at people and be like, oh my God, I know, I don't know what you experienced in life, but it had to be traumatic. It had to be devastating. Because that's the frequency and the vibration that they're still on. We have to grow up. We have to grow up. Look at where you're at. Look at what you've been able to accomplish in life without having the mentors, without having the positive father figures or mother figure. Look at all the hell that you've gone through, and you're still here. Look at all the hell that you've gone through, and you're not strung out on dope. You may have been strung out on dope. You may have been strung out on alcohol. But you're not like that anymore. You've outgrew that. There's a lot of people around you that are still stuck in that vibration. because they haven't healed that area of their life yet. There's a lot of people that still don't know who the hell they are. There's a lot of people that still don't understand why they're here. There's still a lot of people that don't have any joy, peace, or happiness. Look at where you're at, Elijah. You have all the joy. You have all this joy. You have all this peace. You're so full of gratitude because of the work that you put in to get here. Everybody ain't done that type of work. While you were working on your spirituality and growing and healing, other people was chasing the bag. Other people was chasing relationships and woo, and that was their priority. You was fixated on trying to heal, trying to understand. That's why you're not full of hatred. That's why you're not judging your parents and your aunties, your uncles, and all those people that have done crazy things in your life. You don't stand in judgment of anybody, of anything that they've done. Why? Because you've healed from that. You've outgrown that. Everybody can't say that. Everybody ain't put in that type of work. So when you look at yourself, look at the real you. Look at the big picture. Don't look at yourself in comparison to what other people have and where other people are at. Other people may have money and healthy, loving relationships, but they may not have joy and peace and understanding of who they are and why they're here. We have to grow up. And so when you look at yourself, the first thing you need to do is get in alignment with God, source, universe. Why? So you can see yourself through the eyes of God. So you can see you through the eyes of God. When you can see you through the eyes of God, God sees all of the work that you put in. God sees your heart. God sees your motives. God sees all of the tears and the brokenness you endured. God sees all the work you did to heal yourself, to forgive others, to stop judging others, to stop tearing yourself down, to stop self-sabotaging. God sees the work that you put in. And so when God looks at you, he doesn't look at you compared to somebody else. He doesn't look at you compared to your brother or your sister. He don't look at you compared to your daddy and your mama and all these other people. When God sees you, he sees you. He sees all the stuff that you've done to get to where you're at. Good or bad. Good or bad. When God sees you, he sees all the times that you should have been growing up, all the times you should have been healing, but you stayed distracted. All the times that you should have been healing, you should have been working on you, he sees that you kept jumping in relationships because you didn't want to deal with being lonely. God sees all of that. God sees all the times that he tried to get your attention and you ignored him because you was too busy chasing dick or pussy. You was too busy chasing the bag. You was too busy chasing the dope man. When God sees you, he sees you. He sees you, the real you. Not the facade that you put up in front of everybody. When you're trying to look your best. When you get all cleaned up. When God sees you, he sees the real you. And so, in order for us to see ourselves, we got to get in alignment with God so that we can see ourselves through the eyes of God. God, what do you see when you see me? Because what I see, what I saw was some fucked up dude. What I saw was some motherfucker that just couldn't get shit right. What I saw was some motherfucker that just, man, life was just rough. That's what I saw when I looked at me. And I learned to look at me through the eyes of God. And God started pointing out, look at what you did over here. Look at how you moved beyond that right there. Look at how you outgrew that right there. Look at when you did that right there. Look at when you did this right here. Look at how you healed right here. Remember when all those people told you you wouldn't mount the shit? Remember when all those people told you you would end up in prison for the rest of your life, Elijah? You remember when all those people told you you would never see 18? Remember when they told you you were an epic failure? You remember all that stuff? Elijah, remember this kid that you helped over here? Elijah, you remember this lady you helped over there? Elijah, remember this kid over here? What about this kid? What about this guy? What about this guy? What about this lady? What about this kid? What about this person and this person? And God started pointing out all these people that I had helped. All these people that I was sowing love into. All these people that I was trying to help heal and help them deal with their shit. All these people that I was trying to help them raise their vibration and raise their self-esteem. All these people I was helping to understand their pain and their trauma. And so when God started showing me, I didn't see that fucked up dude. When God started showing me, I saw somebody with a genuine heart, with a compassionate heart. I saw somebody with unconditional love. I saw somebody that had gone through so much pain and suffering. He made it his business to try to help other people so that they didn't have to carry that cross like he did. He tried to help as many people as he could so that they wouldn't be hopeless and feel helpless like I did. When I started seeing myself through the eyes of God, that's what I started seeing. What do you see when you see you? Do you still see that person that, man, they're not loved, they're not because they don't have a relationship like somebody else over here does? When you look at yourself, do you see a failure because you may not have 3 houses and 2 cars like some of these other people do? When you see yourself, do you feel like a failure, or you're slow, or you're way behind because you don't have a doctorate degree like this person over here do? When you see yourself, are you so mad and frustrated and tearing yourself down because you don't have your life quite put together like this other person over here? What do you see when you see you? Man, we got to grow up. And it's hard. It's going to take time. There's a process to it. There's a process to it. Man, stop being so hard on yourself. Learn to live in a place of gratitude. Being grateful for where you're at. Remembering where you've been. Remember the pain and the brokenness you've had. Remember the times you felt suicidal. Remember the time you tried to commit suicide. Remember your low state. Remember when you were out on the street and you were homeless. Remember where you've been. And learn to be grateful for where you're at. Remember the lessons. Learn the lessons. In all things, give grace, give thanks. Because it could be so much worse. Man, hope and pray that I said something to inspire you, to challenge your way of thinking. I love you. Happy healing. Peace.